if someone said to me, you'd have to stay inside for 7 years, I don't know what I'd do. How did you, like, why would you do that? What was the reason for that? You're having big parties. It sounded like you're having a great lifestyle. And all of a sudden, you're a recluse for 7 years.
Well, actually, it makes sense because
Well, hello there, everybody. Pete here from Thairish Times. What's the story? I hope you're keeping well. So, before I get into the intro for today's video, let me just talk about today's sponsor. That's right, we got a sponsor. So, today's sponsor is italki. And at italki, you can have one-on-one customized language lessons with high-quality native speaking teachers. And what I mean by that is you can filter these lessons down by category so you can practice pronunciation, grammar, or even language for business. And you can learn 150 languages from native speakers. And I took a Thai lesson with two really good Thai teachers, Ivy and Jenny. I'll leave their italki profiles in the description box as well because they're really good.
When you speak Thai, right, but you doesn't look Thai, so people want to know where are you from. Popular question. What do we say in Thai? Where are you from?
คุณมาจากไหน
คุณมาจากไหน? Very good. And again, we put the question word at the end, right? You come from where? Pete, คุณมาจากไหนคะ?
ผมมาจาก Ireland.
ผมมาจาก Oh, wow, you speak with Thai accent. Impressed.
And then if I put the subject after the word want, I want you to go to Chiang Mai. This one gonna turn to the word อยากให้
ผมอยากให้คุณไปเชียงใหม่
Yep.
And what I like about italki is that it's pay per lesson, so it's no subscription, no commitment, and the lessons are coming in priced from only $5, which is so cheap. So click the link in the description box to begin your language learning journey and buy $10, get $5 off with my promo code in the description box. And this discount is only available for the first 50 customers, so get on it. So best of luck with your language learning journey. Now let's get into the intro for this video. So today we're going to meet a gentleman named Boaz, who is an artist, photographer, author, and poet who spent 20 years living in Bangkok. And if you know the Bangkok creative art scene, you'll have definitely heard of him. Perhaps you'll have attended one of his parties at his home. You're going to hear about that in this video. Boaz is a really unique, interesting character. And at one point in his life, he decided to withdraw from society for 7 years, only leaving his home to buy cigarettes and food. And he's going to get into the reasons why he decided to do that in this video. And then recently he has decided to enter society again. And he's going to get into the reasons why he decided to do that, which is also really fascinating. And this is only one episode that I could do with Boaz. He's also been a Freemason in Bangkok, and he also knows some really famous people. So if you're interested in more stories from Boaz, leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know. Right, let's get into the video. Let's get straight into your story. I'm really looking forward to doing it. We're rolling. Let's just do it. So tell us a bit about your background before you came to Thailand, because I know there's an interesting story there.
First, I'm here in Thailand. I just celebrated a couple of weeks ago 20 years. So that's a big chunk, 20 years in Bangkok. I was born and grew up in Israel, in Tel Aviv. Normal family, but on the creative side. My father was a famous architect. My mother was a painter. It was a very urban, normal youth. But then I decided when I was 17 that I'm going to become a farmer. And I went to live in a kibbutz, if you know what it is, which is the socialist agriculture commune that still exists from the 50s, when they built Israel and all the crazy Russian people came over and built these huge communes. So as part of my military service, I also spent 2.5 years being a farmer. I worked in banana plantations. I was specializing in putting in irrigation systems for potatoes, bell peppers. You guys know potatoes, don't you?
No, we do. We certainly like potatoes over here.
Well, I can tell you that after you work in the summers in the south of Israel, in the desert growing potatoes, you will like potatoes a little less. But it was an amazing time because I was young, I was a farmer, I was thin, handsome, suntanned, all the things that I'm not now. And other than that, I did my military service. I was a medical sergeant in the paratroopers, which was an experience, but I would, let's say that I would not do it again, but I'm very happy that I did it because it does make you a man.
Okay.
And having discipline, having this moral fiber of working is something that made me what I am today. I used it in my professional life, in my creative life. And again, being a soldier means that you have an even higher level of discipline and responsibility. Because by the time that I was 20, I was directly responsible for the life of 130 people. 10 days after I finished my military service, I was living in New York. That was my big getaway. $350 in my pocket, came to New York. I knew my parents had a couple of friends there, so I knew a couple of people, but I had no idea what I was doing. And the only thing that I knew was that it was New York. I spent a year in New York, working there, enjoying, getting the culture and everything. I had to come back because my father had a heart operation. So I came back to help with the family office and everything with the family. But it opened the gate for my next adventure, which was even better. And this is what life is all about, isn't it? We think that something bad happens to us. We have to leave New York because my father is in the hospital and I have. Then you find out that instead of staying in New York and being a New Yorker, I went to live in Italy for 7 years, in Milan, which is so much better in every possible way, especially in the food way.
Oh, getting that pizza and pasta.
Pizza, pasta, antipasti, all the fresh vegetables, I will tell you the story of why I went to study design in Italy. It was before I started design school, and I was thinking, where should I go to study? And I had a friend that was working in agriculture, consulting in the south of Italy. And he told me that he was driving there and he saw a farmer that planted his fields with one line cabbage, one line lettuce, one line cabbage, one line lettuce. And he thought to himself, I wonder why that is. He was an expert in irrigation. So maybe it's because of the pests, maybe the water passes. So he stopped the farmer and he asked him, why do you do one line lettuce, one line cabbage, one line lettuce, one line cabbage? And the farmer looked at him, almost insulted, and said in Italian, ma non è più bello così? Doesn't it look much better like this? And of course, he's right. And I thought to myself, this is the kind of culture where I can find myself. If I want to be a creative person, if I want to be a designer, if I want to do anything that has with aesthetics, with beauty, with poetry, not poetry the writing, poetry, real poetry of life, Italians are the experts of that.
Yeah, I've met a couple of Italians in Bangkok as well. They're very Italians to come across to me. They like to use their hands a lot, don't they? They're quite emotional. I know a couple of Italian guys, and their heart is on a string. Like they can be like they have that emotion in them, and you could be like, all right, mate, calm down a bit. For Irish people, we're not as emotional. Well, give us a couple of Guinness and we might get a bit emotional, but the Italians they are emotional people.
A bottle of Bushmills and you use your hands and your legs. The joke is that Italians, if you want an Italian to shut up, you tie his hands. But it's a very Jewish thing also. Again, you can see that I also talk with my hands. It's a very Israeli thing. It's a very Jewish thing. It's a very Italian thing.
Boaz, just explain what you were doing in Italy, because I was looking up your background there and you said you're involved in marketing, branding, and advertising.
I studied industrial design, which is basically products and that, and I specialized in visual communication. When I finished my school, I found out that industrial design, designing products, is extremely frustrating because you need a lot of people. You need a lot of professional people. You need engineers. You need factories. You need things like that. And let's say that you want to design a new chair. You have a plan for a beautiful chair. It's in your head. You painted it. You have the sketches. You know that. It will take you 2 years just to get the project running. And then maybe 2 years more until you see it in the shop. And this is for one chair. If you want a fork, same thing. Now, what I found out that I was really, really good at making the presentations for the projects. I decided that I will do the presentations, the marketing, the branding for the designers, which was a lot more money, I have to say. And this was when the internet boom started. So everybody was trying to do graphics for the internet and simulations, 3D, and things like that. The marketing and branding part was just for the money. I was a whore. I was a prostitute that made a shitload of money because it was there and because people threw money at me.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that, indeed.
That's what I said. And trust me, when you're drinking the single malt Bushmill, the 12 years old single malt Bushmills, it's much better than the normal Bushmills. So basically, the marketing and branding was just because I had the talent, I had the capacity, I knew how to make things beautiful, I knew how to make things move around in 3D and do beep with music and jump and interactive and things like that. And I used that for my marketing and branding businesses. I opened my first company when I was 27. I closed my last company and retired when I was 39.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's one of my questions here. How does somebody retire at 39?
Well, there's a couple of steps before that.
Okay, go on.
After I did the whole branding and marketing part in Italy, I came back to Israel. I had a company there that actually did industrial design. We did some beautiful lamps, but as things go in the business world, we got screwed over and lost something like $80,000 because somebody was stupid, somebody was evil, and I had to pay debts for the next 3 years for that. I was in Israel at the time, after these years in Italy. I just closed my company that we got screwed over, and I was a freelance. Every Friday night, I used to go to my parents for dinner, as you do when you live in your hometown when you come back. For a Jewish mother, what does freelance mean? Unemployed. So every time that I came over, on my plate, there was the page from the newspaper that she used to tear with all of the graphic design jobs that I wouldn't do even when I was a student. But she left it there, and every time I put it in my pocket, on the way home, I used to throw it out. But, Jewish mothers. I think that Irish mothers are not that far from that.
Yeah, we do. We have a term over here called the Irish mammy, where she's very much involved in your life. And I'll say no more because my mother will be watching this.
I wish her all the best. Mothers are the best. I have to thank my mother for so many things that I got from it. Her being annoying was part of the beauty of motherhood. That's part of, again, what made me what I am. And I put it in a lot of my stories when I write books now. So that's another plus. But let's go back to these dinners on Friday where she leave me the page. One of those times, under all of these ads of things that I wouldn't even consider doing, there was a small it was not even an ad, it was one line. Wanted art director in Bangkok with an email. I said, okay, this one, I might actually send the email. It was an Israeli-owned company, a jewelry company, that they needed a new art director. 2 weeks later, I was living in Bangkok.
Wow, what a jump.
I had no idea. I have never been to Asia. I have never been to Thailand. I have never been to Bangkok. And 3 days after the email, I met one of the brothers in Israel. He was visiting. So we had the meeting. We saw that I'm a good fit. I called all my friends and I told them, okay, you have 1 week to find a reason why I shouldn't move to Bangkok. Nobody found a good reason. So I moved to Bangkok. Came here with a suitcase, with my guitar, directly into the work. I landed at 3 o'clock. 4 o'clock, I was in the office already. And I spent the next year being an art director in a big and shitty jewelry company.
Why was it shitty?
Because it was the one that does all the, the silver jewelry and all the cheap stuff. They made millions on it. They made millions on studs, on the simple studs with they were very good at the business, but for the design part, there was nothing there. I'll give you an example. This is a lesson for marketing for people out there. What happens when it comes to products, when it comes to design, when it comes to fashion, is that whatever is trendy today in New York and in LA moves inwards, but it takes it almost 2 years until it gets to the middle. So whatever is trendy today, next year will be sold in the Mall of America in Wyoming. What they did, they had the people sitting there in New York and LA and send them every year or 2 times a year all of the products that are a hit now, all of the things that are selling, like hotcakes today. Every time it's a different kind of earring, it's a different kind of material, this color goes good, this color doesn't. And what they would do is just take these lists, make their own version, and send it next year to the middle. So they were just following the trends, and this was a very good way to make money because they were selling sure things. They were riding the tail of these trends. And again, they made millions, they retired, they have villas and everything. And for me as a creative person, it was zero challenge. I was basically more running the office, making sure that the designers work and everything is on time and everything is produced. But I did not have any input of my own. I used to design, jewelry for fun for myself, but my jewelry never went because, again, another rule of marketing, if it's symmetrical, it will sell. When you look at the jewelry store and you see things that are artistic, you know that they will sell 5 of those. If it's with diamonds and things like that, 5 is okay. But if you want to mass produce and you have something that is asymmetrical, it will not sell. Do the same thing but symmetrical, suddenly you sold 300,000 pieces.
Wow, symmetrical cells. So what people are programmed, their minds are programmed in to attach themselves to symmetrical things, or how's that work?
It's same thing about who is beautiful, who is handsome. If you have a symmetrical face, you will be considered. Look at Brad Pitt. Look at Angelina Jolie. You can literally cut their face, double it, mirror it, and it will be the same person. Look at the people that you look at, like what you call character actors, Adrian Brody, John Turturro, Salma Hayek, all of these. They are asymmetrical. They get the work because they are strange, but not because they are beautiful. We are programmed that symmetrical is healthy. We are programmed that healthy is something that we want to mate with. We have very simple organisms, people. We think we are sophisticated. We're not at all.
On part of the email that you sent to me, you said that you you left the art, you left the jewelry company and then became a fine art photographer. And then after that, you moved and you became a recluse for 7 years. Can you talk about that moment, those 2 points there that I just said? Because that's very interesting to me.
Well, actually, after I left the jewelry company, I was a creative director for a fitness chain, an international fitness chain, a California Wow Experience. Now, that was a very important step because that gave me a lot of money. The jewelry company paid, it was a good living, but working for the fitness chain as their executive, that gave me a lot of cash in my pockets. When I left them, I had this cash to do whatever I wanted. And this is when I decided one day that I'm going to be a fine art photographer. I could afford to go into this dream that I knew nothing about. I saw an exhibition of Irwin Penn and I said to myself, this is what I want to do. This is the kind of life that I want to do. I want to take this kind of pictures. So I bought a camera, a Fuji camera, not a very expensive one. I went to MBK and I printed cards that says photographer. Actually, it says visual poetry, but it also said photographer. And I rented a studio in Chinatown with other 2 photographers. It was very cheap at the time. We renovated it and we started just shooting. Without any education, we just brought people over and just shot them and saw what happened, played with the lights and everything. The next step, a year later, I decided that it was time for me to take it to the next level. And I rented a big house in Sapan Kwai and opened a gallery. And renting a house was not that expensive. And I opened Boca Gallery, which was an amazing place, a center for creative people, for photojournalism, for journalists, for writers, producers, directors, actors, dancers. I had one secret there. I don't know if you know the art scene in Bangkok. At the time, it wasn't that. Now it's actually quite nice. But 15 years ago, it was a little less vivid, a little less alive. And most of the galleries were stuck up and boring. You used to go to an exhibition, maybe get a glass of wine, walk around the room, and then, okay, where do we go to eat? I did the opposite. I built a huge house that was a place where people could come and sit and drink and eat and talk. I had a full bar, free full bar. I had food. I had openings that started at 6 o'clock in the evening. You had a gallery opening exhibition. 7 o'clock, you had some crazy dance thing going on, maybe Japanese Buto dancers, naked, painted in white, crawling out of the shadows. Everybody's looking. 8 o'clock, there was poetry reading upstairs in my living room. We have some old beat poet from San Francisco, an old hippie, starting to read. An hour later, you had live music downstairs, not by professional musicians, by friends who brought guitars and were sitting in the middle of the gallery and just played. Every second Sunday, twice a month, I used to have an open bar evening that was called Thank God I don't have a real job and don't have to wake up on Monday morning, Sunday night, drinks in the yard. Open bar with, gin, whiskey, vodka, wine, beers, whatever you want. People used to come. Again, directors, writers, actors, artists, photographers. They just used to come to sit and drink and talk and have fun. This was what I built the gallery for. It was also for showing my things, but it was to wake up the Bangkok creative scene. The result of that is that I was burnt out after 3.5 years.
So with the email that you sent to me, right? You said 3 years of fun and exhibitions, of having all the creative people in Bangkok in the gallery garden for long evenings of drinks and conversations. And I had enough of people, and went into 7 years of being a complete recluse. I literally only left the house for cigarettes and food and cut 99.9% of my social life. Now, I've been thinking about that for a couple of days. And for me, okay, I consider myself very social. It's probably the reason why I have this channel. I like meeting people. I love storytelling. I work in sales now, so my job is talking for a living, and I'm meeting people. If someone said to me, you'd have to stay inside for 7 years, I don't know what I'd do. How did you, like, why would you do that? What was the reason for that? Because obviously you were doing all this, like, meeting people for you had your art gallery, everything was going perfectly well for you. You're having big parties. It sounded like you were having a great lifestyle, and all of a sudden you're a recluse for 7 years.
Well, actually, it makes sense, because when you have too much of something, then the pendulum goes to the other side. But it's more than that. I have this curse. People open up to me. So when I have conversations, and I have long, long, long conversations, normally with friends, with people I know, I can easily sit for 5-6 hours and have a conversation, just in the garden. Simple. The problem when people open up to you, that I become the priest, the confessional, and I hear all the things that I don't want to hear. And most people are not that good. And they confide in me with things that I don't want to hear. There were also many other aspects of my life, political wise and social economic wise, that again I found out that I was not among my people. As I said, I moved out of the progressive left, which again, if you look at artists, directors, actors, these are all the progressive left. And in the last year, something bad happened. I grew up in the left, in the liberal left, what you used to call liberal. I haven't changed my views, but now I'm far right, because what used to be left moved 30 miles more left than where it should be. I mean, it just completely went berserk.
So you're not woke.
Well, I'm anti-woke. And 15 years ago, I was one of the first that sensed it. Like you bring the canaries to the mines, and when they stop breathing, you have to get out fast. I was one of the first canaries that sensed it. And I was sitting surrounded by these people. And again, being Israeli helped, because again, the new left is extremely anti-Semitic and extremely anti-Israel. And it kind of pushed me out of that. And I started, and I looked and I said, listen, something is wrong. Then in 2009, end of 2009, I did a photography exhibition that was called Faces of Israel, which was my pictures of people in the streets of Israel. All people from all straits of life. There were Jews, Muslims, there were Catholic priests, there were Ethiopians, there were everybody. The only common thing about all of these pictures is that they all looked tired and slightly depressed.
I'm just trying to get my head around the recluse. I mean, okay,
it's coming.
Okay, hit me with it.
When I posted this exhibition, I started to get anonymous death threats on the phone. I started to get emails from all of my friends saying, how dare you do an exhibition about Israel? That's wrong. That kind of pushed me over the edge out of all of the people that I knew, basically, all of my crowd. Being a recluse was the logical step, because it meant I don't want to talk to anybody. Just leave me alone. I will do my shit. I will do that. I don't need anybody. I've had enough social life in the last years to last me for a decade. It's okay. I just want to be left alone. Now, the funny thing is, when you talk to somebody, I had to be rude to people to really throw them away. Because if I say to you, listen, darling, I don't want to see anybody. I don't feel like talking. I just want to be left alone. What you would tell me was, you know what? I'm exactly the same thing. Let's meet up for a beer and talk about it.
So what did you do? You rude to them? Get away! Don't come near my house.
Lose my number. Really, lose my number. Don't. 99.9% of them. On Facebook, I have the block list. Once in a while, I go and I copy it and I put it in Word to see the numbers. To see 4,800 people on my
You
blocked
blocked.
list. Yes, I have more on my block list than what people have as friends. Now, what do you do when you have so much time alone? I had enough money. I was living well. I had a beautiful condo that I bought when I had money and I rent it out. So I could live off this money. I didn't have to worry about making a living. What do you do? I started learning how to produce music. Today you can do it at home. I bought simple equipment. I produced 13 albums of music in my living room. I started writing books. I have 5 books that I've written so far, 2 of them non-fiction, research books, and 3 fictions of stories that I know.
So you sound like you enjoyed your time being
It was
alone.
bliss. It was bliss.
But I mean, for 1 year or maybe 2 years, but 7 years. Was there a point that you were like, I mean, what was the point that you decided, okay, now I'm going to come back out into society again? What was that point?
Wait. This is the good thing. First 7 years pass faster than you think, because I was waking up 5 o'clock in the morning and starting to work, and I worked until I fell off my feet. Every day I worked almost 20 hours producing, studying, learning, reading, writing, meditating, thinking. I was active for 7 years. Then 2018, I decided, okay, it is time to come back into society. Like you said, 7 years. 7 years is a lot. I decided I am only coming back to do charity work. I don't want to work. I don't need the social. If I have a reason to get out of the house, it is to help other people. And this is what I did. Now, what happened? 6 months later, COVID came. So I came out of the house after 7 years. I got slapped in the face by life. He said, go back inside for 2 more years.
Yeah, but you
You're
must have
not
been a
finished yet.
professional at hanging out in your house at that stage.
Everybody were, climbing the walls, tearing their heads out. I was like, yeah, so okay, what? I'm used to it. That's fun.
Oh, it was my nightmare. It was my prison. I was in prison. I hated that time.
And other than the fact that I gained weight, there was no difference for me. I was looking around and seeing, I said, oh, well, how stupid people act. But again, if you think about it, the reason that I was a recluse is because I knew how stupid people are. So having just another proof of what useless kind of drones most society is, acting without thinking, doing the tribal thing and agreeing with them, that was just, okay, I knew that. I knew that 7 years ago. I've adopted a small charity. I don't like most of the charities in Thailand because a lot of them are frauds. A lot of them, especially the big ones, the money that they bring in never ends up with the people who need it. It goes for wages, it goes for the executive director, it goes for a fancy office, it goes to fund all the events. I chose a very, very small charity. It's a charity that's called the Gift of Happiness Foundation. It was started by your neighbors, a Scottish clown who retired in Thailand 14 years ago.
Did you say a Scottish clown?
Yes, a clown. Clown.
You mean he was a genuine clown, or
he still is a genuine clown? Again, red-nosed clown. This was his job.
All right, okay.
And he retired here in Thailand, and he was doing, the birthdays and things like that. And he used to have a small red clown car. The cars where you have 17 clowns coming out of them, this kind of. And he used to go around Thailand and do shows for the children in the worst places, in the refugee camps on the borders, orphanages, the people that live in the dumpsters. You know that in big dumpsters, you have families that live there, live in the dumpster. He used to go there and do shows. And people used to tell him and said, Eddie, if you already go there, can I send some t-shirts for my son? And he has some old toys, can you take with him? That was 15 years ago. Now there's a big warehouse in Sukhumvit full of school supplies, diapers, medical equipment, clothes, toys, of course, all of these things, and 2 trucks that go around and bring them to children all around Thailand. We're talking about 4 people working in this charity, that's all. There's a big company that donated the trucks. There's a company that covers the basic cost of the other workers. But a lot of people donate clothes, a lot of people donate toys. Nobody is donating the gas money. If you have to go to Mesot, that 14-hour drive with 2 trucks, that's a lot of money. I started a couple of years ago to say that I am taking all of my artwork, my photography, my paintings, everything. I'm doing exhibitions. 100% of all that I'm selling goes to this charity. Not part of, not some of the 100%. Every money that is being made in this exhibition, they don't even pass through me because, again, I don't trust the charities, so I want to be as clean as possible. I don't touch the money. The money they transfer directly to the charity, and they take the artwork home. Now, instead of doing it in galleries, which is not efficient because you have 6 weeks, and actually people just come in the opening in the first day, and then 6 weeks nobody comes. And I decided that I take my marketing and branding skills, and I started the pop-up concept in 5-star hotels, in restaurants, where I just do one day or a weekend of bringing my artwork and doing a sale. If we sell 5 artworks, 6 artworks, that funds the next month of the charity. And this is my reason for living. This is why I get out of the house.
Boaz, let's move on to your life in Bangkok, right? So I'm interested to know, do you speak Thai?
I speak basic Thai. Unfortunately, I speak the same level of Thai that I spoke on my first year here, which means that I can get around, I can get by, but I can't really have a deep conversation in Thai, which sometimes is a problem. But again, when you're a recluse for 7 years, you don't talk to many people.
And when you were a recluse for 7 years, were you in a relationship or anything like that?
I was in a couple of them, yes.
So you weren't a complete recluse then, you still had...
I was a recluse, I wasn't dead.
And are your plans now to stay in Thailand for the road ahead? Could you see yourself the next 20 years staying in Thailand, or would you move to another country?
I don't really see any other options. Not at the moment. I mean, really, when I look around, again, the fact that I have a beautiful, amazing, big house, not in the center, but close to the center of town, and I only pay $700 a month rent, you can't really get that any other place.
Are you living in like one of the townhouses, a couple of floors, 3 or 4 floors?
I don't know. I live in a private house. It's not a townhouse. It's 2 floors, but it has a big garden in the front, a garden in the back. It's separated. It's not like a row townhouse kind of thing. And it's in Sapan Kwai, 5 minutes walk from the SkyTrain. So I can be basically in Siam in 20 minutes.
And you're near Ari as well, so you're in a good area. Ari is like very hipster, nice coffee shops, nice bars.
It's 20 minutes walk to Ari.
And would you go for a drink in a pub, or would you are you a drinker?
Well, the truth is that I was such a big drinker, which is a polite way to say that I was a hopeless drunk for around 30 years. My liver doesn't really react well to drinks anymore, which means that I drink basically 2 glasses of wine a year, more or less. 2 beers when I get to the beach. If I eat a nice fish or something, I like a cold beer. But other than that, on very rare occasions, the whole concept of going out to drink is not something that I acknowledge anymore. When I was young, I used to do it semi-professionally. I used to get, 3 or 4 shots of whiskey before you go out. just to get in the mood for going out drinking.
You sound like you'd have been a lot of fun back in the day, Boaz.
Yeah, I'm no fun at all now. I stopped smoking,
No, I don't mean it that way. I don't mean it that way.
No,
So,
I do. I will tell you that the biggest irony, I was a weed smoker for 30 years, and I stopped the week that it became legal here.
Would you ever go back now that it's legal?
Well, I stopped because I had a heart attack, and so
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
probably not soon, but I'm not. I don't agree with what is happening now with it, but as a concept, I think it's a blessed thing, and used properly, it's an amazing medicine. Used properly, it can also help people in their personal life, but very few people use it properly.
how would you describe yourself?
Boaz,
More than that, what would you say about your personality? Be honest. We love honesty here in Thairish Times.
well, actually, honest is one of the words that would true.
No BS.
I spend a lot of time scrubbing myself clean and taking off all the bullshit. Also, all the defense mechanisms that I used to have. Now I don't have a problem, telling people the truth. I try not to insult them to their faces just because I try to be nice, and I try not to talk bad to people. But I know that as my essence, is completely separated from everybody else because I am connected to something that is much bigger. I am connected to something that is real. I am connected to the source code of the simulation, the matrix. I know that we live in a dream. I know that we live in a simulation. I know that I'm playing a part. I try to play this part very well. But I also know that you shouldn't take yourself too seriously. I also know that there's a bigger plan that usually it is for the best and it does want good things for you. Again, you can call it God, you can call it energy, you can call it the universe, you can call it karma. Depends what part you come from. And I know that as long as you do your best and you try to play a positive part in the game, help other people, be kind to other people, create something new, add something to the world, not just consume, not just take, add something. As long as you do all these things, well, that's the best you can do. That's all you can do.
Boaz, let's leave it there. I've enjoyed the conversation. It was you're a very interesting guy. I'd love to I'd love to maybe have you on again with maybe just a specific story that we could just start beginning and middle and end, because I think we could probably talk. I mean, you're used to having long conversations. We could probably go on for 3 or 4 hours, and it's probably too long for YouTube. But what I'll do is I'm going to link all your social media in the comment section below, your YouTube channel and whatever other media you want to share with me. I'll link it down below, and people can connect with yourself, and they can see your artwork, and they can see what the work you're doing for the charity, which I think is great. So it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I wish you all the best.
It was an honor and a pleasure, and I hope we will do it again, and maybe even in my studio, in my garden, on a nice cup of tea, and then we can have a really long conversation.
Sounds like a deal. Okay. Yeah, well, let's do it. Let's do it. Next time in Bangkok, we'll do it. All right. Boaz,
Thank
so
you.
recap. Thanks very much. Take care. Look, send me an email and we'll chat again. All right.
I will.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.